Alright, so I've been trying for a while now to filter out keyboard noises and mouse clicks from the audio, but it's just not going to happen. Um, so hopefully that doesn't bother you too much. Alright, so I've been meaning to start this channel for a while, and basically I'm going to be going over a lot of the tools that I use and some of my workflows, and I'm going to start by going through nginx and how to set up an nginx server in a cloud provider. I use Linode, and with that, I will show everything that I do unedited. The only time I'll edit something out is if I show something I shouldn't, something for the company that I work for, or something like that, something that gets broadcasted accidentally. But I'll be going through the whole workflow other than that. So let's go. Let's start. So first, I'm going to go to Linode. This is just the main dashboard. As you can see, I already have a Linode set up, but let's go through the full experience. I'm actually going to create a new one. So let's go to Create. Let's go to Linode. And my favorite Linux flavor is Arch Linux. So let's see if we can find that. Here we go. Regions. I'm in California, so I'm going to pick Fremont. And this is just a test, a little demo. So I'm going to pick the Nanode. I'm going to hit Create. Root password. I'm not going to say what that is since this is a live stream. Let's think about that for a second. All right, and then let's add an SSH key. So I'm gonna label this all right, let's do grab my SSH key here. I can explain what SSH add is later and why I called this thing a YubiKey, but that's not important right now. So this is just a standard SSH key. And I don't need any of this other stuff, so let's go ahead and hit Create. And never save. All right, so it's provisioning, and it doesn't take very long, so I'm gonna go ahead and mute, and let me make sure my mute hotkeys work. All right, hopefully my mic is back on. Looks like it works. Okay, great. All right, so now we've got an IP address here. Let's copy it and let's go to SSH into it. So I'm going to SSH in as root, give it an IP address, and hopefully it lets me in. Yes, and I am root. So this is an Arch Linux system. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to update. So I'm going to do pacman-syu. Yep, let's go ahead and update. So it looks like, if you saw there is a kernel update. So before we move on, I'm going to reboot this. All right, as this is working, there's actually a setting that you need to choose inside of Linode to let you boot into a new kernel. I believe it's, let's see where it is. Maybe it's under configs. Here we go. So we want to actually choose the latest kernel that's here. We don't want latest 32-bit. We're going to want, Well, actually, let's take a look at what we're running here. Looks like we got 5.9.8. So let's choose 5.9.8 if it's available. It's not. All right, so let's just leave it at grep. Let's see how it comes through. It might actually be oh, it might actually be pulling in my settings from before, so that I don't have to actually change anything this time. That'll be an interesting thing to go over later, but that's fine for now. So never mind on that. Let's reboot for now. Should be pretty fast. We should get a notification up here saying that it rebooted. Let's take a look. I'm just going to go ahead and hit SSH again. It'll probably time out on us. While I do that, I'm going to go ahead and mute. So I got a little impatient there, went ahead and clicked the reboot button in the console, and of course, as soon as I did, it came up. So just got to wait another couple of seconds, and hopefully it'll finish pretty soon here. Looks like it says it's up. See if it is. All right, so now what we're gonna do is install nginx. So pathman-syu nginx, and let's also grab Docker while we're at it. And that'll pull in all the other dependencies like containerd and runc. All right, now because this is Arch Linux and not Artix or another derivative, we have systemd. So let's go ahead and run systemctl enable nginx. I want to enable it, and let's also start it. So as you saw earlier, I've got the IP address here. So let's go ahead and copy that, and let's go to your favorite browser and pull it up. As you can see, we've got nginx running on that IP address. So I use Google Domains for most of my domains. So let's actually also provision a domain name for it. So I already purchased this domain, and I'm actually going to forward this off. Oops. Forward this address off to this IP address. So pretty soon here, warptux.com will be resolving to this IP. We can wait for that a little bit later. Okay, so now we want to be able to pull something from Docker, and we're gonna use it on our system using proxy pass. So let's talk about proxy pass for a second. What's the purpose of proxy pass? So a lot of programs are web apps or contain web servers, and basically they're designed to be publicly accessed on the web. However, it's not a great idea to build encryption into every program that you have running. So rather than building in SSL and basically support for HTTPS into every single application on your system, you build it into one, mainly nginx, and then you set your application behind nginx. So when a user visits your site, they go to, for example, warptux.com. I don't think that'll have propagated yet, but maybe it did. Oh, look at that, it did. That's pretty fast. All right, we can close Chrome now. So they go to warptext.com, and they will see your application, and it will be served over SSL. It'll be an encrypted connection. But the application that you're running doesn't have support for encryption. So what nginx does is it will receive the request in an encrypted request through SSL, and it will pass it off to your application. The data flow will go through nginx to the application will do processing and send data back, and then nginx will encrypt it and send it back to the user. So let's get started with that. So a really nice tool that I like to use is called Godify. So let's go check it out on GitHub. Let's search for that there. Now what Godify is let's check out the project's website. They are a server for sending and receiving messages. Really, they are, this is an example of the web dashboard. They allow you to push messages via curl or via some other command line application, or you can build something into a script or a service or an Android app or something that sends data out to the server. You can send it a little title and a little message and then maybe a priority, and it ends up on this web server. Now this is really nice. It's the concept of that is called a webhook. So if we look up webhooks, webhooks can be used for all sorts of things. So if we take a look at Wikipedia, maybe they have a nice diagram for us. That was too much to ask. Let's take a look at images here. Yeah, sure. Let's take a look at this. So basically, this here is a client. They're going to send a webhook out, and it can basically deliver information to you from a really simple, one-line command. Goes out to a server, sends it data, and then you get notified that that data is available or it's accessible. It's kind of like an RSS feed for computers. Okay, so how does this work? We want to run Godify on our server so that we can send ourselves some messages, and we can get into more use cases for that later. But Godify does not support SSL. A couple of pull requests came in saying that people wanted SSL support, and it was turned down because it's not a good idea to have Godify encrypt its own requests, because Godify is a small project, and if a new vulnerability comes out against SSL and it needs to be mitigated, who are you going to trust? Are you going to trust this little Godify project? And not to belittle Godify, I'm sure that they would do their very best to rectify it as soon as possible. But do you trust Godify, or do you trust nginx? Nginx being, one of the most popular web servers, on the planet. So let's take a look at some of their documentation and go to installation. And here we have a Docker command. So let's go ahead and run this Docker command on our machine. All right, so first we have to systemctl enable and start Docker. So enable Docker, and let's start Docker, and now let's run it. So it's going to pull the image and run Godify. So now if we go to warptext.com:8080, and that didn't work. Why? Already in use. So let's give it a different port, 8080. I thought I already was running it on 8080. If we see that, we've got Godify running on port 8080. And if you look, Firefox is already warning us this connection is not secure. So let's take a look at the default username and password for Godify. Let's see. All right, looks like the default is admin, so hopefully no one's stream sniping me. And let's go ahead and change the password. Yeah, we got it. We got it. That's going to be a really dumb password, but I'm okay with it for now. Okay. This server is not going to survive past this stream. I already have my own instance running. So, all right. We've got Godify running on port 8080 and it's insecure. How do we fix this? We don't want port 8080 to be exposed. So instead, we're going to take a look at the configuration options. Let's see. Looks like they do actually support SSL, but I don't want to use it. I'm going to use proxy pass. So we've got our Godify endpoint. It's running. And you can see a bunch of the requests that were made to it. Okay, so we no longer need that running. Let's also install pacman-syu. And let's grab a firewall while we're at it. I like UFW. It's pretty easy. Stands for uncomplicated firewall. It's pretty uncomplicated. So UFW, and then let's take a look at the options. Well, first of all, we want to do systemctl and enable UFW. Start UFW, UFW enable. Yeah, let's continue. And then let's also do UFW deny 8080. All right, and now let's take a look. Let's rerun our Docker command. And if I refresh this page, let's take a look. It should not come up, but it is coming up. Why is that? Let's take a look. There we go. I think that's working. Right, I had to reload the rules. Okay, as you can see, so we had 8080, but now we can't access it because we blocked port 8080. So let's get access back to that. So let's edit our nginx config file, and we're now going to enable our proxy pass. So the way I usually do this is, well, normally you'd want to be adding a new user up here to prevent issues with privilege escalation, and you want to set probably you want to set up a limit request zone, basically a rate limiter, but we're not gonna do any of that this time. I haven't pulled in any of my dot files, and editing is going to be kind of a pain. So let's just do the bare minimum to get this working for now. So first, let's set up an upstream, which is basically an alias for your server. And let's do 127.0.0.1:8080. All right, so now we've got our upstream set up. And then let's go ahead and let's do this. Server name, warptux.com. All right, and then under our location, we are going to, instead of using root and index, let's use proxy pass. Proxy pass. All right, and we can use Godify here as opposed to an IP address and port because we included our upstream up here. All right, and then next, we're going to need a, well, first of all, let's have a semicolon. Let's finish that off. Let's set some boilerplate variables. And now let's, we have to add additional variables for Godify because it uses WebSockets to send down the notifications to clients. So let's go ahead and add those in. So we have to set a bunch of headers, and the word for that is going to be proxy set header. Let's actually, let's copy that to the clipboard because we're going to be writing that a lot. Upgrade, and then HTTP upgrade. Let's add connection upgrade. All right, what else do we need? We need X real IP, remote address, and let's add X forwarded for then proxy add X forwarded for. All right, we got 4 more. So this is our last set header. X forwarded proto HTTP. We're setting the protocol for the forwarding. All right, now we got to add a proxy redirect. And let's add HTTP : / and then scheme, and let's add another header. Access control allow origin star. This one is more optional. It's to disable cores if you want to use, Godify inside of a inside of an iframe on another dashboard, that kind of thing. And there may be reasons why you wouldn't want to enable it, but I like to have it enabled if it's not critical that it's not enabled. All right. So let's tab this over. And let's delete that white space. Let's do some indentation. All right, I realized that I have stream keys set up and I'm not using it. So let me go ahead and set that up right now. Oh, what is the... What's the name of my program for that? I can't remember the name of my program for this. Let me go ahead and pause the desktop share. Let's see here. All right. Well, unfortunately, I can't remember it, so I'll get it up before next time. So now we've got our upstream should be set up, and let's try that again. System ctl reload nginx, and we have an error, probably a spelling error. So let's find out what it is. Server name is not terminated by a semicolon. Yes, I forgot a semicolon. Let's add a semicolon here. And let's reload it, and let's go ahead and check warptux.com, and without the 8080 this time, we should just get back a regular Godify page. Perhaps. All right, and if we don't, then we may need to edit our UFW. So UFW allow 80, UFW reload. All right, so great. So what this is we connected to nginx, and it's trying to proxy pass our colon 80 connection. Oops. Our colon 80 connection to port 8080. Unfortunately, there's nothing running on port 8080 because we have to actually run the server. Once we do, we now have access to Godify. That's a proxy pass. Well, all we did now is just take a connection and pass it through. We didn't actually do anything yet. We need to actually get the encryption set up. It's still not secure. So how do we do that? The easiest way to do it is to install certbot in the nginx plugin. So let's go ahead and install certbot. So pacman-syu certbot. And I think the additional package is certbot nginx, but we'll find out. Yeah. Oh, I just misspelled it. Looks like it is. And of course it pulls in a bunch of Python dependencies, but now let's do certbot-d warptux.com, and I will use agree. Usually yes, but I'm already on this mailing list a million times. All right, looks like that worked. And now let's reload this page. We also need to enable traffic on 443. UFW allow 443. And let's do UFW reload. All right, and here we go. Now we're encrypted, but an error occurred. Again, we have to run Docker before we're allowed to do it. So we've got our Docker container running. And here we go. We've got an encryption encrypted connection to Godify. Let's go ahead and use admin. There we go. Perfect. All right, let's see. I don't think I remember the password, but it doesn't matter because I'm already in as root. All right. Let's just leave that as is. So now, what do we have? We have an encrypted copy of Godify, or an encrypted connection to Godify running on the server. So how do we use this now? So let's create a test application for testing purposes. And let's grab a token. This token is public, so anyone can send something to it, given the fact that I'm on stream. So how do we test this? So I usually use, I've got a set of snippets here, but they're going to be off screen. Let's see. take a look here. All right, here we go. So, so I got an example here. So now we've got, this is the token, and I'm actually going to curl to this endpoint right now, and we should see a message. So we're going to do curl warptux.com. Let's do /message, and let's give it the token. Token equals this guy. Let's put this in quotes because there's some special characters in there. And let's do -f title equals hello from Twitch, and let's give it a message equals here I am, and let's give it a priority, and let's set it to 5. And I forgot, we also need to do -L because this is over SSL. Unauthorized. Okay. So this should be valid. And there we go. Hopefully that wasn't too loud on the stream. That was a little loud for my ears. Turn the volume down a little. So as you can see, under messages, we've got hello from Twitch, and here I am a few seconds ago. There's an Android pairing for this, so you can actually install the app on your phone. And yeah, anyway, is there anyone on the chat right now? Let's take a look over here. If there's any questions or anything on this. Doesn't look like it. Anyway, so this is a helpful tool. Just being able to send arbitrary messages to basically a server that you can access via push on an Android device is actually really powerful. For example, I have it set up such that anytime somebody logs into my server, I instantly get a message. I have some cron jobs, and they run every hour, and they check for some conditions, and if those conditions are true, I get a message, and I can set the priorities on all of them. So Godify is really cool. Maybe we'll talk more about it later, but for now, I just wanted to talk about how easy it is to set up proxy paths through nginx. And we've basically done that. So let's do a couple other things before we leave, which is going to be, how do we get this to always run and run in the background? So we're going to actually add a couple of commands to this. Restart equals always. All right, it likes that. And then let's also do -D for, I want it to run as a daemon in the background. Oops. A little screen redraw issue there. All right, so docker ps, there's our application, it's running, and here we go. There it is. So now we've got one last thing. It's unlikely that we want this to be running under the root level of our domain. It's not a great use for warptux.com, not that I have anything else to put up there. but let's maybe put this under godify.warptux.com. So let's change the name of this server from warptux.com to godify.warptux.com. And let's do a certbot -d warptux.com -d godify.warptux.com. So let's go ahead and launch Google Domains again and add an entry for Godify. All right, let's copy that same IP that we had before, put it in here, and put Godify there. Let's add it. And now let's go ahead and ping godify.warptux.com. And we gotta wait till this resolves. So for now, name or service not known. Something you can do to speed it up is Google flush DNS cache. Let's flush godify.warptux.com. Let's flush the cache. Here we are, godify.warptux.com. Should be flushing right now. There we go. Success. All right. Let's see. Hopefully it works. Ping -c1. Still not known. Not yet. It might take up to 5 minutes. So, okay. We can try this anyway with certbot. It's possible that it will resolve on their end. So let's go ahead and try it. And we want to expand our current certificate. So let's wait for the verification. It's going to clean up the challenges. Sounds like it worked. So they're going to deploy it to our virtual host. And now if we go to godify.warptux.com, I still can't find it on my site. On my side, but it's possible. I think Chrome has its own DNS that might work here. No, that's all right. If we do curl from this side, we do actually get it. We do get it back. So the site is working. If you were to go try it from your side, you would see that it is working right now. It's just because I went ahead and visited it early. My DNS is not expired yet. So that was probably not a good idea on my part. Let's see. Give me just a second. Freeze the screen capture. Let's do let's go ahead and re-enable that. So let's just try pinging it again, and that didn't work. So let's just try flushing our caches. Didn't work. Well, I guess I can't reflush my cache that way. Still not working. Well, it would have been nice to show it, but it does work. I think this one will no longer work, right? Because it's only working under Godify. But we should be able to go over to Google Domains or rather, there should be a screenshot site generator. We type this in. And let's go ahead. .404 not found. Well, let's fix that. Let's see, nginx, proxy pass, godify. Wait a minute. It might need a closing slash. Basically what I'm doing here, as you can see, is I already spoiled the cache on my side, and rather than waiting 5 or 15 minutes or whatever the timeout is I'm just using somebody else's machine that hasn't seen this cache entry yet, and since they haven't seen it, they went directly to the root DNS server and their side can pull it. So there's a little bit of creative thinking involved in that, and here we go. It's my cache expired, so I could have just waited, but there we go. So under godify.warptux.com, as you can see, now we've got a working login. I don't know how many times I have to tell Firefox to never save. There's probably a setting for that somewhere. But yeah, there we go. And let's take a look. Our maximum CPU usage is under 4%. We've got almost no inbound traffic. Let's see if I can mute this site. Let's mute this tab because I'm going to send another message real fast. Right, so we got to change the URL now to godify.warptux.com. As you can see, I've got another message 2 seconds ago. And if I were to enable notifications, I'm actually not sure how to do that. I've got notifications disabled on a lot of things, but I should get a notification up here when it comes through. Here I am from Twitch. All right, so why is this useful? I've got a few reasons why this is useful, but we can get into that later. One of them is through PAM. I actually set up a script that every time someone logs in, it sends a message. And I think I already talked about that before, so I'm not really going to go into any of that now. I'm actually going to sign off for now, and that's how you set up proxy pass for nginx.